Guys, so I'm on my goat farm, and as you guys can see, it's really rocky. And in the distance, right there, you can see the mountains and the hills. Very beautiful. Now, this goat farm is an 18-acre goat farm that I do have on a really steep hill. That's why you guys are able to see, you know, the hills and the mountains in the distance. It's really beautiful here, guys. Very, very beautiful. But these 18 acres, I want to be able to utilize to feed about, you know, maybe 300, 400, 500 goats and sheep. And if someone has like pasture, like proper pasture, it's actually possible, you know, to feed 200, 300, 400 goats and sheep using 18 or 20 acres. Unfortunately, I don't have pastures. So as you guys can see in the distance here, you can see that the place has been cleared. So I have about maybe 60, 70 goats and sheep, and they graze on this area. I also do have two guys that, you know, look after them. So in the morning, maybe at around 11, they will get them out and they'll come and feed them on the pasture and things like that. And then in the evening at around this time, like 5:30, 6 p.m, they'll bring them back and take them into, you know, the goat house, which is on this here. Currently, I've been thinking of how I can utilize this land to actually, you know, grow the goats and the sheep to a bigger number, yeah? So what I have decided to do, guys, is that I have decided to plant pasture on this land, yeah? So as you guys can see, it's still very rocky. I mean, very, very rocky, but grass can certainly grow here. So whilst I may not be able to use like machinery to cut it down and things like that, I can use people to cut it down. 18 acres is not too big, so I can get people to cut it down. The biggest problem would be how to carry it from the bottom of the hill, which is down that side, to the top of the hill to feed the goats. Because you guys know that I have a goat's house, as you guys might see. I have a goat house on this hill. And right now I'm going to put a chain link fence around the area so that, you know, they can have a play area and things like that. And it's at the very top of the hill. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to plant pasture, and in order to be able to carry that grass from the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill, I got myself donkeys. So as you guys can see, I have two donkeys, yeah? This is one of the donkeys. We'll zoom into it right there. And somewhere at the top there, you can see another donkey right in the rocks. These donkeys are crazy grazers, yeah? They graze like from the ground, and like they can even pick out, like, I think they literally even pick out roots, yeah? They really graze from the ground, yeah? You can see them right there. They're crazy grazers. They literally clear the place. It's crazy. So you guys can see that despite the very rocky areas, we have soil in between the patches of grass, yeah? Soil. And by the way, whilst you might think that nothing can grow in this area, people plant in here. I mean, I have a neighbor right there and they have maize. You guys can see the maize, yeah? They have maize going all the way down the hill, all the way down. There's maize, yeah? So crops can grow inside here. What people do is that they put the stones together, and then after that they plant. So this entire area was very bushy, yeah, very shrubby, and as you guys can see, it still has, you know, some shrubs and things like that, and the goats eat the shrubs. But it's unfortunate that I'm not going to, you know, zero graze them. I'm going to tether them to one place and zero graze this area. Let's go over and I show you guys exactly where I plan on, you know, keeping the goats. And whilst we go there, I want to tell you guys that, guys, there's nothing impossible. There's no rules to life. There's no rules. I mean, I remember when I was getting this place, my dad thought that I bought a very rocky place. Recently, I was talking to him and he was telling me that he wants to buy land in this very same area. Can you imagine? After him at first thinking that the place is too rocky, you know, why would you buy land in such an area? Now he wants to buy land in the very same area because he saw what I am doing and he actually saw what can be done, you know, how the place can actually be utilized, yeah? Very rocky as you see it. I mean, a lot of stuff can grow right here, yeah? So we are moving to the very top. I'm going to show you guys what is possible, but all you need to be able to thrive and succeed at anything is determination and focus. That's all you need, just determination and focus, and anything can come out of, you know, whatsoever. I have people who will tell you that something is not possible, yeah? Something is not possible, you can't be doing things like that. I mean, people, for example, right now, would probably be sitting down and thinking to themselves, no, you can't do goat farming on a hill like this. You can't do zero grazing of goats on a tough hill like this. In fact, even you guys, a lot of you guys will tell me in the comment sections of my video that, hey, goats are browsers. Goats love shrubs. just let them utilize the shrubs and eat the shrubs. You guys can see the goat house right in the distance in the background, yeah? So people will be like, I mean, goats love shrubs. Why don't you just let them eat the shrubs? And I'd be like, yeah, it's actually a great idea. And as you guys can see, they're already, I mean, browsing and clearing and eating all the shrubs in this area. But the problem is, if I let them do that, I won't be able to get to the number I want. I might probably be able to get to 150, maybe 200 goats if I clear the entire place and, you know, allow them to graze over the entire place. But that's the maximum I can do, maybe 150 goats, yeah? But I want to be able to do 300, 400, 500 goats, yeah? And then in addition to that, because the goats are just, you know, moving around and browsing on everything, goats are very selective, and sheep, they'll pick on what they want. What that means is that some of the vegetation that's not very nutritious, they leave it, and so we have to keep clearing it. But number two, they won't get the best nutrients because the vegetation that grows naturally in the area is not like very, very nutritious, yeah? So I want to be able to give them the best for them to grow quickly and put on muscle, yeah? So currently, most of the goats that I do have on the farm are like local goats or crosses of some form of local goats or something like that. Even the males that I do have are not like, they are boas, but they're not like 100%. They might be like 67% or maybe 75%, something like that, maximum. But I want to be able to bring in like pure boas and something like that. And that's going to be very difficult for me to do it on a free range scale, yeah? So I need to find a way of actually doing pasture in this limited area for me to be able to, you know, get the most out of it, for me to be able to benefit in terms of making money and utilizing my 18 acres on this hill. And so I kept sitting down and thinking to myself, how can I get the best results out of this land? How can I do it? How can I do it? And yeah, finally I came up with the idea of actually being able to plant pastures. The advantage with planting pastures is that you can be very intentional, yeah? If you have like Napier and Chloris Guyana, those are grasses that have a lot of carbohydrate. Then you plant grasses that are like legumes, things like alfalfa. Those ones have a lot of protein. And what that means is that you don't need so much bulk in terms of quantity of grass in order to give the animals, for them to get the nutrients that you do require from them, to be able to feed them and for them to grow up and things like that, yeah? So because of that, because I'm going to be growing pastures and things like that, I can raise quite a number of goats and sheep on this area. So you guys can see the goat house right there, and that's where the guys sleep, in the house right there. And that's like the top of the hill right there. So what I did is that I told the guys, because this area around here is what we want to make like a play area. Yeah, this area around. So what we did is that I told the guys who are working here to gather all the stones, yeah, all the stones that are in this area and put them in a pile like this one. So you guys can see that we have a huge pile of stones here, yeah, and then this area is mainly cleared, as you can see. Now there are some stones that they couldn't gather, but this area had a lot of these small rocky stones, yeah. So they gathered one batch here. You can also see another batch right here, and then you can see other small batches. You can see a batch right here, you can see a batch right there, and a batch right there, yeah? So we've gathered all of them. Then what we're going to do is that now we're going to get a chain link fence and fence all around. The chain link fence is probably going to move like 80 meters, yeah? Move all around the area like that back to the house, and this is going to be like their little play area, yeah? Now the reason we gathered the stones together is that it is very, very difficult to clean an area that has stones, yeah? So I can imagine, let's move to this area, yeah? You guys can see how rocky this area is. This is probably a little bit easier to clean, but let's move to one area that hasn't been picked up. So can you see that area with rocks and stones, yeah? So if the goats start living in such an area and then they poop in such an area, it will be very difficult to sweep it and clean it and things like that, yeah? So if they clear the place, just like they have done in this area right here, it will be much easier for us to sweep and clean it up, yeah? And as you guys can see that there is vegetation here, but as soon as we fence it and get all the goats to be in this area, all this vegetation is going to be cleared, yeah? And then goats naturally love to climb, so they're going to slowly start climbing these areas. So maybe what we shall do is we'll probably get some maram and pile it on top of these stones so that we form like a hill. I don't know if that will be possible, honestly. Yeah, but it would be great to pile it so that we form like a small tiny hill where they can climb onto and be enjoying the place. They naturally love to climb, so of course they're going to climb this. The only problem is that it's not stable and it will keep coming down. So we'll find a way of dealing with that, yeah. So before we used to get goat manure and pile it and pour it here, but now we no longer do, yeah. We got another place right down there in the distance. Can you see that black heap? That's goat manure that we get from the goat house once we get the goats out, yeah? So it's now quite late in the evening and the goats are back from, you know, their herding. So we'll just take a closer look at them. You guys can see them inside here. These are the goats and the sheep. We have more goats than sheep inside here. We have them inside here, and we have a smaller door at the top, right there, where we also have more goats and sheep. So as you guys can see, they don't have an exercise area. So what that means that once we are releasing them, we only release them at like 11 midday, and that's not good for them. We want them to be outside this area so that they can find an area where they can play and relax before they actually go out to graze. And then much later on, after we are done with the fencing and we've prepared this place, then we shall have our grass once it's grown and ready, maybe 3 months from now, hopefully 3 months from now. Once we have our grass and it's grown and ready, and it has started putting on, then we can slowly bring it to this area, and then we keep the animals here. Keep the males separate from the females, bring them in when we want them to mate, and just get the place to go up to pace and go to the level that we do want. So that's the plan for the farm. That is my plan for the farm, and that's what I want to implement on the farm. I believe it's going to work very perfectly, guys. I really believe it's going to work very perfectly. And like I have said, there are no rules. There are no rules. It's about trying what works and what doesn't work. There are no rules in life. There's nothing like this is what should be done and this is what shouldn't be done. As long as the animals are healthy and they're not dying, and if you try out something and it actually works out, go ahead and implement it. Go ahead and do it. Personally, that's what I've decided to do, and I'm going to be implementing that on this farm, and I know that it's going to work out. I've already started planting the pastures and the grasses, and I'm personally ready to go 2-3 more years without getting any profit from this farm. Very, very ready, because I know that once I do, I will be making money. Now, I know a lot of people are not like me. You can't invest money into a farm and go 2-3 years paying salaries, because I have 2 workers who work on this area. I pay them salary every month, and you're not getting any money out, because I have other businesses that are bringing in money that I can utilize to live and pay them. So it's okay. But I know that once it gets profitable and I start making money, it will actually make me a lot of money. I'll be a happy person. I'll be a happy farmer. So it's just about, utilizing these genius ideas to work through it and, come up with whatever you've come up with. So tell me what you guys think. Let me know your ideas in the comment section below. I think it's a brilliant idea and it's going to work out perfectly for me. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell. Catch you very soon with another video. Lots of love. Bye-bye.